In the heart of Westminster, where policy is penned and power pronounced, a quiet moment of spiritual significance triggered a political upheaval unlike anything the UK had seen in decades. During a parliamentary prayer breakfast, an event often overlooked in the tide of government business, a sermon was preached that changed history. The speaker was Reverend Les Isaac, founder of the Ascension Trust and the Street Pastors Movement. His message was not political in its aim, yet deeply prophetic in its content. It called on those in positions of power to serve with humility, to lead with integrity, and to embody the values that sustain a just society. Among those present was the then Health Secretary Sajid Javid. Struck by the clarity and conviction of Reverend Les's words, he felt compelled to resign from his position. What followed was an avalanche. Dozens of resignations, a collapsing cabinet, and eventually the stepping down of Prime Minister Boris Johnson himself. But why did this moment, this voice, resonate so deeply? Why did these words, spoken without malice or manipulation, bring about such a powerful change? This article explores the power of spiritual truth, the courage to speak it, and the call on every believer, whether politician, preacher, parent, or pupil, to rise and lead with righteousness. So whether you're a politician or clergy, whatever post you hold, we are all called to serve, and to serve in humility. This statement encapsulates a truth often forgotten in corridors of influence. Leadership is not about titles, but about service. The simplicity of the message disarmed its hearers, but its clarity convicted them. Reverend Les was not there to stir division or court controversy. He was there, as he later said, only to share the truth as he understood it. Truth shaped over 4 decades of ministry, leadership, and community engagement. This moment echoes the call of Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. It was this verse lived out, an unassuming yet compelling call to justice, mercy, and humility. In an era marked by self-promotion, his humility stood out. In a time of noise, his stillness spoke volumes. And the law of singularity in action leadership expert John Maxwell teaches that influence is rooted not in position, but in example and integrity. In this moment, another of his principles rang true, the law of singularity, the idea that sometimes one bold action, one courageous message can change everything. Reverend Les did not intend to be a catalyst, yet his sincerity, paired with spiritual clarity, lit a fire. Sajid Javid's response was heartfelt. The sermon cut through political fog like a beacon of truth. Though Reverend Les had no governmental title or political platform, he possessed the moral authority born of decades of public service and private obedience. His life has been a portrait of servant leadership, a model seen most vividly in Jesus, who washed his disciples' feet. This kind of leadership doesn't clamor for attention, it draws attention by its authenticity. Significant moral shifts often begin with a single voice of dissent, one person willing to challenge the status quo with truth. Church history offers abundant proof. Martin Luther, a German monk, nailed his 95 Theses to the church door in 1517, sparking the Protestant Reformation. He wasn't looking to divide the church, he sought to reform it from within. William Wilberforce, driven by Christian conviction, fought to abolish the British slave trade, not for fame, but for faithfulness.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer stood against the Nazi regime with deep theological courage, insisting the church must not be silent in the face of evil. Each of these figures embodies the spirit of Proverbs 31:8-9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. They were not heroes by ambition. They were faithful by conviction.
Many had criticized Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Yet it was this message at this breakfast that caused a seismic shift. Why? Because Reverend Les was not a politician, pundit, or protester. He was a pastor, a man of compassion, not condemnation. His consistency and integrity gave his message weight. It aligns with 1 Peter 5:2-3. Be shepherds of God's flock, eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. This wasn't rhetoric, it was relationship. The Epistle of James 3:1 warns, "Not many of you should become teachers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly." Leadership carries weight. Teaching carries responsibility. Reverend Les speaks not for applause, but for accountability. He understands that leadership is not a trophy, but a trust. Think of Nathan, the prophet who confronted King David. He didn't attack. He told a story. Then came the words, "You are the man." 2 Samuel 12:7. Reverend Les did something similar, not to shame, but to shine light. He didn't name names, he named values. He reminded us what leadership is meant to be. It's easy to view Reverend Les's impact as exceptional, but that misses the deeper truth. His story is not about being extraordinary, it's about being faithful. Matthew 5:14-16 reminds us, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your light may shine in a school, a boardroom, a street corner, or a social feed, but it must shine. We each have a voice. We each have influence. The real question is, will we use it? Use your platform, no matter how small, to speak truth. Be the voice of integrity in team meetings. Write to your MP when you see injustice. Support leaders who model humility and honesty. When we live with consistency and courage, we become culture shapers. Worth fighting for the resignation of a Prime Minister wasn't an end. It was the beginning of a deeper conversation about values. What kind of leaders do we want? What kind of church will we be? Here are 7 values worth anchoring our lives in. 1. Integrity. Being the same in private as in public. Proverbs 10:9. 2. Compassion. Acting with Christ-like love. Matthew 9:36. 3. Courage. Speaking truth even when it costs. 4. Humility. Leading by serving. C.S. Lewis. Thinking of yourself less. 5. Perseverance. Staying faithful when it's tough. 6. Hope. Trusting God's redemptive plan. 7. Responsibility and collaboration, sharing the burden of change. Romans 12, Galatians 6:2. These aren't ideals, they are foundations. As political leadership shifted, conversations quickly moved toward diversity of candidates. But Reverend Les's message pushes us to ask, what do they stand for? One candidate praised Britain as a place where politicians aren't corrupt. Yet recent scandals show that integrity is never guaranteed. It must be guarded. Now more than ever, we need discernment. Ask yourself, are these leaders rooted in justice? Do they value the vulnerable? Are their motives kingdom-minded? And remember, local matters too. Your school board, your council, your community group. They all need your voice. There's a line from Phil Thompson's worship anthem, My Worship, that declares, I will not be silent. I will always worship you. But worship is not just what we sing, it's how we live, it's how we speak, it's how we lead. Thank you, Reverend Les Isaac, for being a voice of truth in a world of spin. Now the baton passes to us. Will we remain silent? Will we speak with courage? Will we lead with integrity? As 2 Timothy 4:2 urges, preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke and encourage with great patience and careful instruction. Let us be people whose lives speak what our hearts believe. Because when truth speaks, through you, through me, through us, the world cannot stay the same.
All of us have influence. All of us have the ability to influence and to make a difference. And we're called to serve. We're called to work together for the common good, not just for the party, not just for the denomination, but for humanity. My words of encouragement to us this morning: give hope a chance. Let hope flourish as you seek to lead, and as you seek to have influence, and as you seek to exert your influence across the world, across the city, across our community. Let us recognize it's together we will make a difference. It's together the common good of our community would be realized. May the Lord help us as we continue to serve. Thank you.